Why my best friend left me at my party. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. My best friend smiled at me, then walked out of my party forever. It was 10:37 p.m. according to the little blue time stamp on the video my building's lobby camera auto sent me later. At the time, I only knew the sound, my own laugh cracking too high, the clink of ice in a plastic cup, and the front door latch snapping shut like someone cutting a wire. This was supposed to be my fresh start. New apartment in Philly, first real promotion at work, the kind of night where you prove you're not the girl who gets left behind. I'd spent the whole week scrubbing baseboards, hanging thrifted string lights, and making a grown-up charcuterie board that still looked like kindergarten Lunchables. Jenna had been my constant through every messy chapter, breakups, bad roommates, the year I couldn't sleep unless a podcast was playing because silence felt like abandonment. She was the person I texted when I got the promotion. I did it. She replied in all caps, "Housewarming party. I'm bringing the vibes." So when I turned from the kitchen and she wasn't there, I felt the room tilt. "Tariq," I said, gripping the counter like it could anchor me. "Where's Jenna?" My roommate looked up from the sink, eyebrows already drawn together. "She was just here." Across the living room, Eli was telling a story with his hands, charming as always, my almost boyfriend who always hovered just close enough to feel like a promise. Nina laughed too loud at something he said, like she wanted people to notice she was laughing. I checked my phone. No new texts. The last one from Jenna was at 9:58. "Be right back." Bathroom. I pushed through my guests, past the balcony where people smoked and pretended they weren't watching the city through the glass, past the bathroom door, empty, and into the hallway. That's when I saw it on the floor near my coat rack. Jenna's gold hoop earring, bent like it had been stepped on. My hands were shaking so hard, I almost dropped my phone twice. Then an unknown number told me to check my front door camera. Jenna and I met the way you meet people who end up owning pieces of you. In a fluorescent hallway, both of us trying not to cry. We were 19, first week of community college, and I'd just gotten off the phone with my mom. She'd told me, again, that moving on would be easier if I stopped being so sensitive. I was standing by the vending machine staring at a bag of chips like it could solve my life when Jenna walked up, read my face, and said, "If you buy those, I'm judging you." I laughed through the tightness in my throat. She bought them anyway, shoved half the bag at me, and said, "Rule 1, we don't pretend we're fine when we're not." That became our contract. When my dad skipped my graduation dinner, Jenna sat beside me and kept ordering appetizers like we were celebrating anyway. When Jenna's boyfriend cheated, I burned through PTO and slept on her couch for 3 nights because she couldn't stand silence. People teased us about being married. We leaned into it. Same phone cases, inside jokes, the kind of friendship that felt like a safety net you could actually feel under your feet. And Jenna knew my soft spots. She knew I threw parties because I wanted proof people would show up. She knew I laughed too hard when I felt insecure. She knew the little voice in my head that whispered, "They'll leave the second you stop being useful." She also knew Eli. Eli had been orbiting my life for months, sweet texts, half plans, honest-sounding excuses that always ended with me waiting. Jenna didn't hate him loudly. She hated him like a doctor hates a symptom. One night after he canceled on me again, she slid her phone across my table, a time-stamped screenshot of his story at a bar, arm around someone I didn't recognize. "Rule 2, she said softly. "If someone makes you feel small, believe them." 2 days before the party, she came over while I was hanging shelves and silently held the level in place. When I thanked her, she said, "I'm not going anywhere, okay?" Then she paused like she'd swallowed something sharp and added, "Just tell me Eli's really coming." I should have asked why she looked like she was bracing for impact. Planning the party felt like trying to sew a hole shut while wearing mittens. Work had me staying late, and every night I came home to half-unpacked boxes and the smell of fresh paint that never quite left. I made lists on the Notes app, cups, ice, napkins, speaker charger, because lists made me feel like I had control over my life. Jenna was supposed to come early to help me set up, like always. Thursday, can't. Emergency at work. Rain check. Friday, running behind. Don't be mad. Saturday morning. What time is Eli getting there? She'd never asked that before. Not once. I try to keep my tone light. Whenever he shows. It's casual. Who else is coming? She wrote back. I sent the invite list screenshot. Co-workers, a couple neighbors, Nina, Tariq's friend from his gym, and yes, Eli. Jenna left me on read for 17 minutes, which is a weird thing to notice until you realize you've started counting. Tariq caught me pacing between the couch and the kitchen with a roll of tape. You're spiraling, he said, gentle but blunt in that way he had. I'm not, I lied. I'm hosting. He lifted an eyebrow. You're performing. Big difference. Then he nodded at my phone. Jenna acting weird? I froze. How did you? He pointed at the screen in my hand like it was a live wire. Because every time she texts, you flinch. I told him about the questions. He hesitated, then said, Nina mentioned something at work. She said tonight might get interesting. Nina says that about brunch. Tariq didn't laugh. She said it like she was excited someone might bleed. My stomach tightened. Nina loved attention the way some people loved oxygen. She'd once announced a breakup at a baby shower like it was a toast. That afternoon, Jenna finally arrived with a grocery bag and a smile that was too bright. She hugged me hard, then pulled back and stared at my face like she was checking for bruises. You okay? I asked. Yeah, she said quickly. I'm great. Don't hate me if I disappear for a second tonight. I laughed, because it sounded like a joke, but she didn't laugh back. By 8 o'clock my apartment looked like a catalog version of my actual life. String lights glowed. The playlist was working. People kept saying, this place is so you, which made my chest feel warm and exposed at the same time. Jenna floated through the room like she owned it, refilling drinks, introducing my co-workers to my neighbors, turning awkward silences into laughter with one line. This is Maya, she told a girl from my team, one arm around my shoulders. She acts like she's low maintenance, but she cried when she found this rug on Marketplace. True, I admitted, grinning. It was $30 and only smelled a little like dog. Everyone laughed. Jenna squeezed my shoulder. For a minute, the little voice in my head shut up. Then Eli arrived. He came at 8:42 p.m., which I knew because my phone buzzed with his text. Outside. Like he couldn't commit to walking up unless I confirmed I wanted him there. When I opened the door, he kissed my cheek like it was normal, like he hadn't spent the last month figuring things out. Hey, May, he said, warm smile easy. Congrats. This is huge. You made it, I said, trying not to sound relieved. Behind him, Jenna had gone still. Not frozen like surprised, frozen like she'd been hit. Her smile stayed on, but it looked painful. Jenna, Eli said, too cheerful. Wow, it's been a minute. Jenna's eyes flicked to me, then back to him. Yeah, she said. A minute. Nina appeared beside them like she'd been summoned by tension. Eli, she purred, and then to me, he's cute in person. Pictures don't do him justice. Tariq muttered under his breath, here we go, and grabbed another beer. Jenna excused herself fast. Bathroom, she said, already walking. 10 minutes later, I knocked on the bathroom door. Jen. Occupied, she called, voice high. Her phone rang inside. An old-school ringtone, not her usual. The sound stopped abruptly, like someone had pressed decline. When she finally opened the door, her eyes were glossy, and she kept her hand over her pocket like she was holding something in. Everything okay? I asked. Jenna smiled too quickly. Perfect. Just don't leave me alone with him. My stomach turned, because she didn't say who him was. Around 10, the apartment got that party hazy feeling. Music a little louder, laughter a little sloppier, bodies closer together. I floated from group to group with the fake host confidence I'd practiced in the mirror. Eli was on my balcony with Nina, both of them leaning on the railing like they were the main characters. I tried not to care. Jenna was supposed to be my anchor, but every time I looked for her, she was somewhere else. At 10:31 p.m., my phone buzzed with a text from Jenna. Can you come to the hall? I read it twice. The hallway wasn't part of the party. It was where you went to hide. I squeezed between guests, past Tariq who caught my eye and mouthed. You good? I forced a thumbs up. When I opened my front door, the hallway light was harsh and quiet. Jenna wasn't there. I stepped out anyway, heart thudding. Jen. I whispered, like I was calling for a cat. Then I heard it. Voices. Low. Urgent. Coming from the stairwell door at the end of the hall. I walked toward it, slow, because some part of me didn't want to know. The door was cracked. Through the gap I saw Jenna pressed against the wall, arms crossed like armor. Eli stood too close, one hand braced on the railing beside her head. His face wasn't charming out there. It was sharp. I couldn't hear every word over the building's hum, but I heard Jenna say, "You promised," and Eli say, "Don't make this a thing tonight." My hand hit the stairwell door harder than I meant to. It swung open. Jenna flinched like she'd been caught stealing. "Maya," Eli said quickly, stepping back, smile snapping into place like a mask. "Hey, we were just—" Jenna's eyes went to the floor. "I need air," she breathed. I reached for her wrist. "Jen, what is happening?" She pulled away fast. "I can't. I'm sorry. I can't do this." And then she walked past me, hair swinging, shoulders shaking, down the hallway toward the elevator. I stood there like an idiot, waiting for her to turn around. She didn't. When I went back inside, Tariq asked, "Where's Jenna?" And I heard myself laugh and say, "Probably on a smoke break." At 10:37, my front door clicked shut behind her, and it never opened again. I woke up the next morning with a dry mouth, glitter stuck to my cheek, and the kind of dread that starts in your stomach and spreads like dye. My living room looked like a confetti crime scene. Half-eaten brie. A solo cup balanced on my windowsill. The bent gold hoop earring still sat on my kitchen counter where I'd placed it like evidence. My phone was worse. In the group chat, Maya's new nest, there were 16 unread messages. "Nina, last night was iconic." Coworker, "Your balcony view is insane." Nina, "Also, where did Jenna go? LOL, she Houdini'd." Someone posted 3 photos. In one, I was smiling with my cheeks hurting, Eli's arm around my waist. In another, Jenna was behind me, mid-laugh, but her eyes were fixed on Eli like she was watching a fire. Then Nina sent a selfie of herself with Eli, both of them grinning. Caption, "When you realize you shoulda worn heels." My face went hot. It wasn't cheating exactly. Eli and I weren't official, but it felt like being replaced in my own home. I scrolled up, hunting. At 10:12 p.m., Jenna had sent a blurry photo of my charcuterie board with the caption, "Proud of you." At 10:31, nothing. No goodbye? No, I'm outside. No, call me. I texted her, "Are you okay? Please talk to me." Delivered. No read receipt. I called. It rang until voicemail. I called again, because I hated myself a little. Straight to voicemail. I tried to tell myself there was a reasonable explanation. Panic attack. Family emergency. Food poisoning. Anything that didn't mean my best friend had chosen to abandon me at the exact moment I needed her most. But that image from the stairwell kept replaying. Eli too close. Jenna pressed into the wall, the word "promised" hanging between them. I refreshed the chat and noticed something that made my hands go numb. Jenna's profile photo was gone, replaced by a gray silhouette. At noon, Tariq knocked on my bedroom door and held up his phone. "Your lobby camera sent me something," he said quietly. My stomach dropped, because my building didn't send him anything unless I asked. Tariq sat on the edge of my couch like he was about to deliver bad medical news. He opened the building app and rotated his phone toward me. "Last night," he said. "Motion alert." The video was grainy. Our lobby looked too clean in it, like a place nothing emotional should ever happen. In the corner, the timestamp read 10 hours, 36 minutes, and 58 seconds. Jenna entered the frame, shoulders hunched, one hand pressed to her mouth. She looked like she was trying not to fall apart. She hit the elevator button 3 times, rapid, like she could summon it faster. Then the elevator doors opened, and she stepped inside. I held my breath, waiting for her to turn back, to change her mind, to text me, to do anything that matched the Jenna I knew. She didn't. The door slid shut. The camera caught her reflection for a half second. Wet cheeks, mascara shadow, eyes fixed on the floor. The clip could have ended there, and I would have been sad but still able to tell myself a story where Jenna left because she was overwhelmed. But the app automatically cued the next motion event. 10 hours, 38 minutes, and 41 seconds. Eli walked into the lobby. Not with a jacket, not with a gift bag, just his phone in his hand, screen lit, his head on a swivel like he was checking if anyone was watching. He stopped near the mailboxes and stared at the closed elevator doors like he was calculating. Then he typed something fast, thumb flying. A third motion event popped up. 10 hours, 39 minutes, and 12 seconds. Nina entered from the stairwell side, hair messy like she'd been running her hands through it. She saw Eli and didn't look surprised. She walked straight to him, leaned in, and they spoke for maybe 8 seconds. No audio, just mouths moving. Eli's shoulders dropped like he'd been holding tension in place. Nina touched his arm. He nodded once. I stared at Tariq's phone, my brain refusing to give meaning to what my eyes were showing me. That's not what you told me, I whispered, thinking of Eli's easy grin when he'd said he was just grabbing ice later. Tariq swallowed. There's more. He tapped the screen and pulled up his notification history. A blurred preview from last night sat there with the time 10:33 p.m. A text from Jenna to him. She must have meant to send it to me. Jenna's text preview warned Tariq not to mention the bathroom. For an hour after Tariq showed me the clips, I just sat there staring at my own hands. I kept trying to make the story fit the shape I could handle. Jenna got overwhelmed. Jenna had a panic attack. Jenna ran because she hates being the center of attention. But the lobby camera didn't show a panic attack. It showed coordination. Timing. Eli showing up 2 minutes after her. Nina showing up 30 seconds after him like she'd been waiting backstage. And then there was that word, bathroom. I replayed the night in my head like a security guard scrubbing footage. Jenna disappearing at 9:58. The weird ringtone. Her glossy eyes when she opened the door. Don't leave me alone with him. I'd assumed she meant Eli was being flirty, or rude, or just Eli. But Jenna didn't ask me to protect her from random awkwardness. Jenna asked me like she was afraid. Tariq leaned back on the couch, watching me. You think Eli did something? I think, I said slowly, that they know each other better than they're admitting. He nodded like he'd been waiting for me to catch up. Nina, too. My phone buzzed. My stomach jumped. It wasn't Jenna. It was an email receipt, subject line. Thanks for riding with us. From a rideshare company I didn't use often. I opened it, and my breath caught. Trip time, 10:41 p.m. Pickup, 1400 block, my address. Drop off, Wawa, Roosevelt Boulevard. Rider name, Jenna M. I didn't book that, I whispered. Tariq's eyes narrowed. Maybe she accidentally used your card? I checked my bank app, thumb shaking. There it was, a pending charge for $18.72. My card. My party. My best friend leaving, literally on my dime. The humiliation came in layers. First, she left. Then, she let me pay for it. Then, she ghosted. But under the anger was something colder. If Jenna was running from Eli, why was she stopping at a convenience store off the boulevard at 10:52 p.m.? And why did the receipt list a second stop, added mid-trip, at an address I didn't recognize in a suburb 20 minutes away? I zoomed in on the email's details until the letters blurred. That second stop had a name attached to it, and it wasn't Jenna's. By Sunday afternoon, my feelings had turned into a project. That sounds cold, but it was the only way I knew to survive. If I stayed in the emotional soup, hurt, humiliation, rage, I'd start texting Jenna like a hostage negotiator. So I did what I do at work when a crisis hits. I built a timeline. Tariq dragged my whiteboard out of his room and propped it against the coffee table. I wrote in thick black marker. 8:42, Eli arrives, outside text. 9:58, Jenna, bathroom. 10:31, stairwell, Jenna plus Eli. 10:37, Jenna exits, lobby cam. 10:38, Eli in lobby. 10:39, Nina in lobby. 10:41, rideshare pickup, my card. 10:52, Wawa stop. 11:09, second stop, unknown name. Okay, Tariq said, tapping the board. We need what happened between 9:58 and 10:31. I pulled up my photos and checked the hidden details. The iPhone stamped them all. In one shot of me blowing out candles, the timestamp read 9:47 p.m. Jenna stood beside me, smiling, but her knuckles were white around her cup. Another photo, Nina on the balcony, was 10:22 p.m. Eli's reflection was in the glass behind her, watching the hallway instead of the party. Pattern, Tariq murmured. He was waiting. I opened my messages with Eli. The last thing he'd sent me that night was 10:18. Need anything? Ice. Which now felt like a cover story rehearsed. Check your old phone, Tariq said suddenly. My old phone's dead. Exactly. Dead phones don't lie. They just keep stuff you forgot. I dug it out of my junk drawer, the one I swore I'd organize when my life calmed down. The screen was spiderwebbed, battery swollen. At a tiny repair shop down the block, an unnamed tech popped the back off and whistled. You're lucky this didn't catch fire, he said. While it charged, I opened the rideshare receipt again and clicked trip details. The map expanded, showing the second stop's address in the suburbs. and a little gray label over it. Ryder added stop, ELIS. My heart pounded so hard it made my ears ring. Tariq leaned over my shoulder. Tell me you're seeing that. I was, and now I had to decide who I confronted first. Monday morning, I went to work like my life wasn't on fire. I told myself I was being professional. Truth was, I needed fluorescent lights and a badge swipe to remind me I was a person with responsibilities, not just a girl refreshing a group chat. My promotion meant I had my own little glass-walled office now. Coordinator, a fancy word for being the person everyone blamed when schedules collapsed. I sat down, opened my laptop, and pretended to read emails while my mind replayed, Ryder added stop, ELIS, over and over like a glitch. At 9:14 a.m., my phone buzzed. Eli, hey, can we talk? Please. I didn't answer. At 9:17, Eli, Jenna's fine. Don't freak out. At 9:21, Eli, you're making it weird. She had a moment and left. The last one was followed by a thumbs-up emoji, which somehow made me angrier than anything else. Like my best friend disappearing mid-party was a minor inconvenience he could tidy up. I walked to the break room for coffee, hands shaking. Nina was already there, stirring creamer like it owed her money. She looked up and smiled. Morning, boss, she said, syrupy. How's the post-party hangover? I kept my voice neutral. Do you know where Jenna is? Nina's smile faltered for half a second. No. Why? I watched her eyes flick to my phone. Because she left, I said. And then you met Eli in my lobby. Color rose in her cheeks. She set her spoon down too carefully. Maya, don't do this. Do what? Turn it into a thing, she whispered. It's embarrassing. For who? I asked, and I hated how small my voice sounded. Nina leaned closer, lowering her tone like we were sharing gossip instead of my life. Jenna's fragile. You know that. If you start digging, you'll blow up her whole situation. Her whole situation. Not my party. Not my feelings. Not the fact that my card paid for her escape. Tell me what you know, I said. Nina's eyes hardened. Drop it, she said, soft but sharp. Unless you want everyone to see what Jenna did. Before I could ask what that meant, my phone buzzed again, this time from Jenna. Jenna, Maya, please stop. Don't ask Tariq anything. I'm begging you. Jenna's text ended with one chilling word that felt like a threat. By lunchtime, my timeline was taped to the inside of my planner like a talisman. I wasn't going to do this in my apartment again, surrounded by leftovers and memories of me pretending everything was fine. I needed neutral ground, bright light, witnesses, rules. I texted Eli from my office chair, staring at his name like it could bite. Me. Meet me tonight. 6:30, Riverwalk Cafe on Walnut. Me. Bring your phone. Put it on the table. Me. If you leave, we're done. 3 minutes later, 3 dots. Eli. Maya, you're scaring me. Eli. Okay, I'll come. I forwarded the same details to Nina, because I wasn't going to let her whisper threat me in a break room and then disappear into plausible deniability. Me. You said I'll see what Jenna did. Come say it with witnesses. She responded with a single fine. Then I did the hardest part. I texted Jenna. Me. I saw the lobby footage. I have the rideshare receipt. Me. Eli added a stop under his name. Me. I'm not here to shame you. I need the truth. Me. 6:30. Riverwalk. Tariq will be with me. No read receipt. I printed the receipts anyway, my bank app showing $18. 72 pending, the email with the route map, the screenshot of the lobby timestamp. I wrote my one question at the top of a page in block letters. Why did you leave? Tariq met me outside the cafe after work, arms crossed, eyes scanning like he was security. I'm here, he said. But if this turns into a circus, we walk. Agreed, I said, and I meant it. My chest felt tight, like my ribs were trying to hold my heart in place. Inside, the cafe smelled like burnt espresso and cinnamon. I chose a corner table where the cameras above the register could see us. Tariq set his phone face down in the center like a gavel. At 6:29, Eli walked in, hair damp like he'd showered for court. At 6:31, Nina followed, lipstick perfect, eyes bright with anticipation. I stood up, papers in my hand. Sit, I said. Phones on the table. Eli's smile twitched. Nina rolled her eyes but complied. And then, at 6:34, the bell above the door chimed again. The bell's chimes sounded louder than it should have, and every head at our table turned. Jenna walked in like she'd aged a year since Saturday. Eyes swollen, hoodie sleeves chewed at the cuffs. She spotted me and stopped short, like she wasn't sure she was allowed to exist in my space. "I'm here," she said. "Okay." I didn't hug her. I hated that my body wanted to. I gestured to the chair. "Sit." Phone on the table. Her hands trembled as she set it down. I slid the printed receipts across like cards in a game I didn't want to play. "You left at 10:37, I said. Eli showed up in the lobby at 10:38. Nina at 10:39. The rideshare at 10:41 was on my card. And the added stop was under Eli's name. Eli tried on a smile. "Maya, you're doing a lot." "Explain," I said. "All of it." He glanced at Jenna. "She's dramatic when she drinks." She freaked out. I tried to make sure she got home. Jenna's head snapped up. "Don't," she whispered. I looked at Nina. "You said I'd see what Jenna did. Say it." Nina's eyes flicked to Eli, then back to me. "She slept with him," she said, too casual. "Figured you deserved to know." The cafe noise blurred. My ears rang. Jenna's face crumpled. "It was before," she said fast. "One night. I told him it couldn't happen again." Eli leaned forward, palms up. "You and I weren't official, Maya." "Stop," Jenna said, voice cracking. "That's not why I left." I stared at her. "Then why?" My voice sounded like someone else's. Jenna swallowed, eyes glassy. "Because he cornered me in your stairwell and said if I didn't behave tonight, he'd tell you. Except he'd tell it like I tricked him. Like I was the problem." Eli's jaw tightened. "That's not." "And because there was more," Jenna said, words coming out hard. "I got pregnant. I ended it. He paid for it, and he's held it over me since." Nina's face lost color. Eli went very still. Jenna looked straight at me. "I left because I thought you'd hate me forever." Then Eli's phone lit up on the table with Jenna's name. Eli snatched his phone like it had burned him. Too late. The notification banner had been clear enough. Jenna calling him out for breaking his promise. My hands shook, but I held my gaze on him. "Show me the thread," I said. "No," he snapped, and the sharpness in his voice finally matched the stairwell version of him. Jenna's shoulders sagged. "You don't get to do that anymore," she whispered. She looked at me, asking without words, and I nodded. Eli hesitated, then set the phone back down with a sigh like he was the victim here. Jenna unlocked it, her face tight, jaw clenched, and slid it toward me. The messages weren't flirtatious. They were transactional. Ugly. Eli, July 18th, 11:03 p.m. "If Maya finds out, you're dead to her. Remember that." Eli, August 2nd, 9:14 a.m. "You owe me for the clinic. Don't make me regret helping." Eli, October 14th, 1:27 a.m. "Promise you won't tell, or I'll tell her you begged." My throat closed. It wasn't just the hookup. It was the way he'd been holding it like a leash. Nina pushed her chair back, eyes wide. "This is insane," she said, already backing away from consequences. "Actually," Tariq said calmly, "this is what blackmail looks like." Eli stood up so fast his chair scraped. "You're all being dramatic," he said, voice rising. Heads turned from nearby tables. "Maya, don't do this in public." I laughed once, short and bitter. "You mean like you did to Jenna in my hallway?" People stared. Eli's face went rigid, and for the first time, his charm didn't show up to save him. He grabbed his phone and walked out without paying, the bell above the door clanging like a verdict. Jenna started crying silently, hands over her mouth. I wanted to comfort her and scream at her at the same time. Nina lingered by the door, looking back like she was deciding which story would benefit her most. That night, the group chat exploded. Nina posted first. Not my circus, not my monkeys, followed by a blurry screenshot of me standing up in the cafe, taken from across the room. By the next morning, someone at work asked if I'd gone off on a guy in Center City. At 9:07 a.m., my manager ordered me into her office immediately. My manager's office smelled like lemon cleaner and stress. I expected a lecture about professionalism, maybe even a warning. Instead, she closed the door and said, "Are you safe?" Her question cracked something open in me, because no one had asked it like that, like my dignity counted. I told her the sanitized version. A personal situation spilled into public, a coworker, Nina, shared content from it. I'd handle it. My manager listened, then said, "Keep it out of the office and document everything." So I did. I saved screenshots. I emailed HR about Nina posting my photo and then baiting me in the break room. Nina got quieter after that, the way people do when they realize consequences exist. Eli tried to reappear in my life like a bad smell. He sent a text from a new number. Can we talk like adults? I blocked it. Then another. Jenna lied to you about things. Blocked. I stopped responding because responding was oxygen. Jenna didn't text for 2 weeks. When she finally did, it wasn't an excuse. It was a paragraph, sent at 1:12 a.m., no punctuation, like she'd typed it while crying. She took responsibility for the lie, for leaving, for letting fear turn into betrayal. She said she'd started therapy again. She said she'd told her sister where she was going at night, so I don't disappear on people anymore. I stared at the message for a long time before I replied. Me, I'm glad you're getting help. Me, I can't be your hiding place. Me, if you're scared, tell me before it explodes. Me, and I need space. For the first time in years, I didn't soften it with a smiley face. I built new routines like scaffolding, gym after work, dinner with Tariq on Wednesdays, no checking the group chat that had splintered into side chats anyway. I started saying no without providing a dissertation. I learned that boundaries feel like guilt at first, because guilt is what you're used to paying. 2 months later, Jenna asked if we could meet somewhere quiet and talk. We met on a Saturday morning at a little park near the river, the kind with damp benches and joggers who look like they have their lives together. Jenna arrived early. I could tell because she was already standing when I walked up, hands shoved into her coat pockets, eyes nervous. She didn't go for a hug. That alone told me she'd done work. I'm sorry, she said, for leaving you, for making you pay for my mess, and for letting him control the story. I sat on the bench, keeping space between us. Why didn't you tell me before? I asked. Jenna stared at the ground. Because I was ashamed, she said. I thought if you knew the whole thing, you'd look at me like I was dirty. I looked at you like you were my best friend, I said, until you disappeared. Her eyes filled. The unknown number, that was me. I used a temporary app. I wanted you to check the camera, but I couldn't say it out loud. That landed like a bruise. Even her attempt to protect me had still been a way to avoid me. I'm not going to tell people your medical business, I said. That's yours. But I'm going to tell the truth about him. He threatens, he manipulates, and he doesn't get access to my life anymore. Jenna nodded. You should. And us, I continued, heart thudding. If we rebuild, it's slow. No secrets that involve me. If you're scared, you call someone, but you don't vanish and leave me holding the bag. She let out a shaky breath. Deal. We sat there listening to the river, and finally, the silence didn't feel like abandonment. I realized I'd spent years trying to earn safety from people who treated it like a favor. The night Jenna left didn't prove everyone leaves. It proved I don't have to chase them. If your friend disappears when it matters, don't gaslight yourself. Save the receipts. Trust patterns over promises. Forgiveness can exist, but only with boundaries.